Hello, welcome to Lesson 3 of the Sail Pray Sound Virtual Regatta Sailing Lessons. So far we've learned how to set up our account and get ourselves going on Virtual Regatta. We learned how to move the boat around left to right and get the basics of how to maneuver our boat around on a race course. Today we're going to apply all of that knowledge that we learned in Lesson 2 and put it into actually being able to sail around a race course. A super important lesson if you want to start out with Sail Pray Sound Virtual Regatta Race Nights. Here we are right back in the Virtual Regatta homepage. We're going to go right back to the sailing school segment like we were before. And we're going to go to the very first lesson here in section 2, the tack of the regatta. So notice the course right there, you can see two windward marks. So one of them is the actual windward mark and the other one is the offset. The offset mark can come in pretty handy in large regattas as it saves the race committee quite a bit of infractions to enforce, because when boats round the upwind mark, there tends to be a lot of Rule 18 penalties, which is the mark rounding rules. The offset mark allows the boats to be separate a little bit and avoid them taking Rule 18 infractions. So we'll go ahead and hit play on this first lesson of section 2 in the sailing school. And here we are, we jump right into it. We cross the start line and then we have to make one tack to get to the upwind mark. So the arrow right there is pointing to your windward mark. And then the other mark beside it is the offset. So we're going to round the windward mark first and then go all the way across to the offset, round that as well. And now we can finally hoist our spinnaker and start sailing downwind. Don't worry too much about the spinnaker. The first race in Sail Pray Sound Race Night will be in the laser, so obviously that boat does not have a spinnaker. So there we go. We finished the first section here, the tack of the regatta. So if we look at the other lessons here in section 2, the regatta in the sailing school portion, they all have to do with right-of-way rules. So we're going to skip those for now and come back to it in the next lesson, because right-of-way rules gets into a whole new thing, and today we just want to focus on the actual race course itself. So I hopped into a race on my iPhone just so I can demonstrate to you guys how to actually sail the race course, and we can put everything that we've learned today and through lesson 1 and lesson 2 and apply it all right here on the race course. And it's just me in this race, there's no other boats, so we don't have to worry about any right-of-way rules, anything like that. We can just sail the race and figure out how exactly to sail the regatta race course. So the first thing you're going to see here up in the top left is the start sequence. So we can see the start line there. The red zone is the area that you can't be in after the start. We're at 39 seconds to the start, so the first thing here, I'm just going to sit right next to the line and wait for this race to start. So while I am waiting for this race to start, I'm just going to maybe speed this up, put it on pause, and I'll hop in whenever I feel it's necessary to put a point in about what is happening on the race course. Okay, here we go, 10 seconds to go. I'm sitting here. You can either use the space bar or the yellow button in the bottom right to luff your sails in a controlled position. And once I'm ready to go, I let go of that space bar and we're off here on a starboard tack. So a couple things right now. I'm watching that little windsock there at the front of our boat, making sure I try and keep it in the green. And when I'm ready to tack, I'll tack across. And then we'll probably do a couple of those to find our way upwind. And we'll see you at the upwind mark. Okay, we're back here at the windward mark, so remember we're rounding both the windward and we're rounding the offset. So here we go, we rounded the windward. Once that goes dark, we know that we've successfully rounded it all the way across here to the offset mark. And then we're going to be ready to head downwind. So something I want you to take note of, a new thing. Once we take a look downwind, we can see there's two marks on the downwind. So that's not an offset mark right there, it's a gate. So you have to go through that gate in order to successfully round a mark. So you can either go around the port mark, which would mean you go through both marks, and then around the port side, which I'm going to do here. Or you can go around the starboard mark, which would mean you go through both gates and are up around the starboard side. So we're heading over to the port mark. We're going right through both of them. And we round, and we're heading right back up on the upwind. So once again, I will see you when something exciting happens. Back at the windward mark once again, and we're ready to go for another windward rounding. So just a reminder, the windward mark is always going to be an offset, and the leeward mark is always going to be a gate mark, which means that you have to go through the gate and then up around and through back onto the upwind. So on race night, we will be sailing lasers, which is exactly the boat that I am sailing right now. And I'm going to hop back on camera. And we're just about done now with this race. All we have to do is cross the finish line. A 2-lap race in the lasers, exactly the same as you're going to be seeing at the Sail Prairie Sound race night. So today we learned how to sail around the race course. I hope you guys feel a little bit more comfortable with virtual regatta and the concept of sailing around a race course. Thank you very much for tuning in to Lesson 3 of the Sail Prairie Sound Virtual Regatta Sailing Lessons. I hope to see you guys soon at the Virtual Regatta Sailing Night, and the date for that will be announced pretty soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.